Welcome, friends. Mrs. A here today with another story time for you. I am really looking forward to sharing this special book with you. It's called My Words Flew Away Like Birds. And this book was gifted to me by a really wonderful publisher called Kids Can Press. So thank you so much for sharing this book with me and allowing me to share it with the world. Now, My Words Flew Away Like Birds made me think of how challenging it is when we move to a new place. Sometimes we move to a new place where we don't know anybody, and things feel unfamiliar or different than what we're used to. And other times we move to new places where people move to new places where everything is different, including the language, including what people look like. And so My Words Flew Away Like Birds made me think of a lot of people who have to move, who have to go somewhere new that is really different than what they're used to. And in this book, we're going to hear about a character who had to move to a new place, and she had to learn an entirely new language, one that was really new and unfamiliar to her, one that she hadn't known or learned before. Maybe you've also had to learn a new language because you moved to a different country. Maybe you had to learn a different culture or style because you moved someplace that was different than what you were used to. Even if you haven't had to move somewhere new, maybe you know someone who has. Maybe you have a friend or somebody in a class that you know that moved from one place to another, and it was really different, and it took them some time to adjust. And we'll see in this really sweet and special story how everyone manages through those difficult times and changes. And we'll see some really beautiful examples and some kind of confusing ones too. So let's get into it. My Words Flew Away Like Birds by Debora Pearson, with illustrations by Shriha Jan. My words flew away like birds. Before I came here, I could see the world from my bedroom window. All the places I knew, the homes of my friends, the trees we ran under on our way to school, and the noisy market where I went shopping with my mother and aunts. My favorite part of the market was my grandfather's bakery, where everything, especially my grandfather, smelled like fresh, warm bread. That was my world back then. Do you have a favorite thing about where you live? Here in her home, she's telling us about how she loved her grandfather's bakery that smelled like fresh, warm bread. Do you have a favorite spot to visit? A favorite market? A favorite neighbor? Before we moved away, my mother taught me some words in a new language. She said we would need those words, and other ones too, in the place where we were going. The words felt strange and lumpy in my mouth. Hello, how are you? I am very well, thank you. It was nice to meet you. Goodbye. What would it be like, I wondered, to live where everyone said these words? And I would, too. What do you think it would be like to learn an entirely new language in a really short amount of time? A language that you've not heard much before, a language that you don't speak with your family or here in your neighborhood. I think it would be really difficult, hard work, often confusing, yeah. But when we came here, my mother, my father, and me, all of my words flew away like birds. Everyone spoke so fast. Their words tumbled out and swirled around. Hey, what's up? Not much. What you doing? Come on, let's go. Sheesh, wait up. Nah, okay. Oops, my bad. Gotta go. Whatever. See you later. Yeah, sure. Maybe later. Whoa. It sounds really overwhelming. I think my head would hurt if I went to a place that I didn't know the language. and all of the words sounded different than what I was used to. How would you feel? Yeah, me too. Their words did not sound like the ones I had learned, so I did not say anything. I was like a tiny bug on a little leaf, waiting, watching, listening, trying to figure out where I had landed, trying to fit in. If you ever tried to fit in, maybe you felt like, I'm not really sure what everyone is up to, or how do I join this group, or even ask these new friends to play. It sounds like being in an unfamiliar place with a different language might feel like that a little bit. At school, I watched the teachers chalk, scritch, scratch, dance across the chalkboard, making words I did not know. I listened to sounds crickle, crackle, mumble, jump from the box above the teacher's desk. A voice said things I did not understand. Across the room, out the windows, I saw trees, sky, a park. But not my trees, my sky, my park, not the ones I knew. I wished my friends from back home were here. I would have shown them the snow falling down and the dog in a coat and tiny boots playing outside. I had never seen a dog like that before. Have you ever seen a dog in a coat or tiny boots? Not only is the language new in this new place, but the culture is new too. Back where she is from, she had never seen a dog dressed up like that. She had never seen snow falling. So there's a lot of new things in her new home. I wanted to tell them about the funny bread, not like my grandfather's, and the time I got lost in school. The teacher who found me called me the new girl. I am not new. I am just me, the same as always. Everything else, even that teacher, is new. What do you think the teacher meant by new girl? And what do you think her character means when she says, I am not new, I'm just me. I'm the same as I've always been, but everything else here is new. Yeah, they're both thinking about things from their own perspective. To this teacher, this student is new. They've not been here before. But to this student, everything in her whole life is new. She's never been to this place before. One night, Mr. Tarragat, who fixes things in the tall, tall building where we live now, clump, clump, clumped down the hall in big boots and knocked on our door. Surprise, he said. We did not know what surprise meant. Was something broken? What type of surprise do you think Mr. Tarragat has? Another man in boots stood there too. My assistant, said Mr. Taggart. He's from the same place you folks are. I'm sure you have lots to talk about. It took a while for us to understand Mr. Taggart's words. He smiled and waved his hands like he was conducting music. Go on, he said to us. Do you notice these bold illustrations? What do you think everyone is feeling right now? Yeah. Confused, maybe frustrated. This is a really interesting situation because it looks like the man in their building that helps fix things is trying to introduce them to someone, but they don't really understand his words yet. Let's see. But when my father spoke to the man in our old language, the man did not understand. He was not from the same place as us. Mr. Taggart looked confused. No one knew what to do. Finally, my mother smiled. She said to the man in our shiny new words, It was nice to meet you. The man smiled back. "It was nice to meet you," he said. "Goodbye." So this sounds like a little bit of an awkward meeting. Things are a little unsure for each person, but thankfully it sounds like their mom was ready to handle a little strange situation and use kindness and the words that she did know to make them feel more comfortable and say, "Well, thanks for trying." Sometimes when people move to new places, other people want to help, but they're not always sure how. And that can be tricky and a little confusing for everyone. He clopped away with Mr. Taggart, who still looked confused, and that was the end of our surprise. In spring, when the snow was finally gone, I went to the park and walked down the hill to the playground. A girl wearing a hat as blue as the sky was there. Nobody else, swinging up and down and up, until she slipped off and fell on the ground. She started to cry. Do you think crying has its own language? Do you think you can understand what it means to feel sad or hurt, no matter what language you speak? I do too. Let's find out. I didn't know what to do. I picked up her hat, I brushed it off and gave it to her. I tried to think of something to say. Then I remembered. "Hello, how are you?" The girl wiped her eyes. "I'm okay," she said. "Thanks for getting my hat." She pulled it on and ran up the hill very fast to someone waiting there. At the top, she turned and waved to me. "See you," she called. I waved too. "See you," I called, but she was already gone. This is the first time in our story where she has found some words in her new language and shared them with someone else. This is really exciting. This is what happened the next week at recess. Everyone else was running, laughing, leaping like rabbits when I saw the girl with the blue hat. Do you see the girl with the blue hat? Can you spot her? She ran over and said, "You go here? I didn't know that." I said, "I go here. I didn't know that." My words did not come out exactly right, but the blue hat girl knew what I meant. "Come on," she said, "let's play." She grabbed my hand and we ran all over, laughing and leaping like rabbits. What do you notice that happened on this page? Something really sweet and kind. Yeah, even though her words didn't make sense, the girl in the blue hat, her new friend, said, "That's okay, let's play." She invited her to join, even if things may have sounded a little different than she's used to. When the bell rang, we lined up together, me and my new friend, still holding hands. We walked to our classrooms. "See you," she said. "See you," I said. And this time I knew I would see her soon. When I came here, all my words flew away. That was back then. Now I have new words. My friend, my baby brother, our home, our trees, our park, our sky. And these words are here to stay. The end. Friends, I hope you enjoyed My Words Flew Away Like Birds. Maybe it reminded you of a time where you had to move somewhere new or meet people that spoke differently than you. Maybe it reminded you of somebody that you've met who maybe sounded different or didn't know the language that you speak yet. I wanted to remind you that there are people who move all the time from one place to another. Sometimes because their grown-ups get a job in a different state or a different country. Other times because war or really big scary things are happening in their home and they have to leave and become refugees. Other times because they are curious to try out a new place to live. There are many different reasons that people move to new places, but some are particularly challenging. And so, if you or your family are interested in learning about or helping refugees, people who have to move from one place to another because things are scary or unsafe in their home, then please check out some of the links in my description. There are some big groups that work to help refugees around the world, and some that are local to the city of Pittsburgh. So be sure to check those out and connect with them if that's something you're interested or curious about. Thank you so much for joining me for story time today. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I can't wait to see you next time.